Hello and welcome to OverShadow ShadowCast. I'm Thomas Anderson and I'm joined as always by Abigail Moat, Tech Wizard.
Hiya.
And our guest for today, special guest, James Gray.
Hello.
Hello. So, first question as always.
What have you been playing?
I return first.
Should we do to guests first?
Guest, as
Me.
always.
I've been playing State of Decay 2 on my Xbox. I never played the first one, but I seen gameplay of the second one. I thought it looked pretty good, and I was wanting to play something on the Xbox again because I hadn't for a while. I got it quite cheap. I knew what it was going to be when I bought it, just a zombie survival game, and it is it's pretty good. The mechanics and stuff are good and survival aspects, but I'm 20 odd hours in now and it's dragging a little bit for me. You know, I'm still enjoying the game, but it's just very repetitive. But
Yeah.
I expected it to be like that,
Aye.
so that's why I didn't mind paying the £20 for it. I would recommend trying it. I don't think it'll get much cheaper. Quite difficult at times, which I like. And now it's a first party studio now that Microsoft have bought over Undead Labs, which they announced at E3, which was another reason I wanted to try it. Just since they're on board the exclusivity, I thought I'd try it, and yeah, it's good. I've been enjoying it. That's all I've been playing the past.
It reminds me a little bit of, I know zombie games all have a bit of overlap, like that game where you were running around in a city.
Dead Rising.
Parkouring. I can't remember the name of that.
Dying Light.
That's the one.
First person one.
Yeah, that was
Aye.
first person. But it reminded me a lot of Dead Island.
Oh yeah, I remember
Because
that.
there was things like weapon durability, vehicles,
Aye.
that sort of thing.
Oh, vehicles are
Aye.
very few and far between, and you need to refuel them. They can get damaged, and you need to
Aye.
repair them and stuff as well. So.
So it's much more survival.
Oh yeah, they're
but there
like
were-
running massacre. It doesn't work like that. And you've got melee weapons, you've guns. You might think when you start playing it that there seem to be quite a lot of guns, but as you get on and on, ammunition will get quite low. Your guns can break unless you build a weapons workshop. You can repair them, but if you don't, they will break. I'm liking it, but it's a zombie game.
Yeah, it's and with no story. Although what can you really do with a zombie
Yeah.
story now? But with no story, it would have that sort of loop in it.
It's-
It never bothered me a lack of story in the grand campaigns for the Total War games, though. Story is not a necessity for me.
So you can literally just go in blazing in any game. You don't really need this is
No.
what's happened, this is what's going to happen.
No, I prefer a story if possible, but it's not a necessity for certain types of games. Like a 4X game, you don't need those, so like Civilization. But you do something like that where you're playing as a specific character, a set of characters with no story, quite a lot of repetition in what you're doing. Like Dead Island had, I played through all the missions I could find for the first area and then saw there was 2 more and just thought, no way.
when that first came out, me and Hills played that on co-op and we finished everything. We totally 100%ed that game. But as again towards the end of the game, it was a bit.
Aye, you just sort of like, please
Aye.
finish. I just wanted, I know what happens to the story, so I was just bombing through the story, and it had weapon durability and upgrades.
It
And
kind of
stuff
reminded me
that.
of like Far Cry, but zombies slightly.
Aye. Because the one of the big things from what I've seen in the gameplay is the lack of space, which is big in survivability games. Not just the lack of items you can pick up, but when you can pick up items, it always gives you 1 or 2 that you want, too many for you to carry. So
It's like that in State of Decay.
Yeah.
But if you've got a car where you can put things in the boot of the car,
Aye.
drive the car back to base, and then obviously
Aye,
put your
just
materials
ferry
in.
everything around.
But then sometimes it is quite good because sometimes you can be like, if your fuel's low as well, like, is it worth me going back and then going back for that?
Aye.
Because I could die, but it's permadeath as well. So you could get a character leveled up so much,
Aye.
like, and then that'd be him, you'd be dead.
That seems-
So I like that because it gives like, you do need to try and.
Yeah, I think that's what
Be
they've
quite
tried
careful.
to do. If you combine the sort of repetition survivability with unending sort of no end game scenario with the fact your characters can, perma-death.
Oh yeah, they can.
the addition of I think that's to give you some element, and the fact you can't pause it is to give you some element of fear. So there's actually something. There's apprehension, trepidation, that sort of stuff. Otherwise, it would just be I could reload it, but I don't actually know why.
Or you could just do. You can get infected, so guys in your party can get infected by the zombies.
Yeah.
But if you build a medical bay and gather samples when you kill, I can't remember what the type are called.
There's this big blood sacs like
but yeah, they're red kind of. What are they called? Is it plague samples or something? I think it's like plague samples or something. You gather them up and you administer a cure, and then you can save them. But that's only if they get infected. You can just get swarmed and they can get killed, and that's it. It's not just the fact that they die. You can administer a cure and they're okay. A lot of the times they will just die. I've only lost one party member so far, so it's pretty good so far. But you can take one of them with you on a mission, so you can go the two of you. I usually just go by myself. So if
you've got more control.
So I've got So if one of them die, I don't like. I prefer just going by myself.
What about you said you can level them up, so what can you do?
So you've got like acrobatics, stealth, shooting. I think it's just shooting basically, melee. But then you've got sub ones, so like gardening and stuff like that. So when you're like gardening technology, what do you call it, mechanic? Like, so they're different little, you could say is it called the Enclave, I think they're called, which are like a group of survivalists. So you can actually recruit some of them.
Oh, right.
So if you can do favours for them. And
I did hear about the fact there were factions that can get angry at you.
Yeah, so you can recruit them if you want, and obviously some of them have different, they're good at different things. So like if you build a garden in your base, you need someone to be good at gardening to get the herbs and stuff like that. So you can't just build a base and make everything you want just like that. You need to have the knowledge to actually do it.
And so it seems like they have geared all the skills towards actually being of use, but it is split between scavenging and then what you do with what you've scavenged. Those are separate from the looks of it, not combined.
No, they are.
So that is you could have your scavengers and then you could have the people who actually use it. I'm not a great fan of permadeath. I don't like my characters dying.
No, I don't like it. It is annoying, but in this case, it adds something to the game. I think
it needs it because of the fact that it's unending, as it were.
Question: what is permadeath?
When one of your characters dies,
that's it.
They're gone. There's no way to get them back.
So is that like paraphrasing?
Permanent.
Permanent, right?
Permanent death. And the one that is a bit of a pet peeve for me is why you can't pause it.
Right, I know.
Because I understand that the game is continuing to play in the background, but if I need a wee
stuff like that.
But you can't pause the game.
No, it sort of keeps running in the background.
I mean,
is this? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. The only thing you can really do is go back to your home base, and even then, it still gets attacked by zombies. But there've been so many times where it's like, right, I need to go back to my home base before I do this, that. Otherwise, you need to turn it off and you need to start it back up again. So it's a bit annoying.
I don't understand that. That's a quality of life.
But baby steps, because it is quality. They are quality there in the developer. The physics and stuff they are some bugs. It's a wee bit buggy.
Any fun ones?
But not so far, none. But when they made this game for Microsoft, they were like a third party. They're not AAA. I wouldn't even say they were maybe even AA. Maybe just about that. It is good for what they had. I think they've done a really good job. But now they're under the wing
of
Microsoft, so I think they can do really good things because it does work well. The thing about zombie games is sometimes you get tired of coming across. I've seen him 7 times before, but I've not had that much.
I just had a thought. Could you imagine if they slammed together a zombie game, right, with Black Flag?
That'd be quite interesting. Pirate zombies.
Yeah, because you could have this sort of thing where
pirate shit. Oh my god!
You're trying.
Sorry. Pirates of the Caribbean, is that not what that was? Basically?
No, Black Flag's Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh, I heard pirates and I heard
no, it is. It's
pirates.
It's pirates, but it's this free world exploration where you sail wherever you want, literally, and do what you want and attack who you want. And that's sort of what I was thinking, because you could have this sort of a story element where you had to try and keep them pinned into one island, and some of them get off and all that jazz.
And they spread.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently the first one was very similar with the second one. They just changed a few things. But the third one, I don't think they'll make it, here's a massive city. I think they're going to do something different. Maybe not
No,
that
was
would
just
be
something
good.
popped into my
That
head.
would be good, but maybe something or maybe like tropical or something like that. Like I know.
You'd have to watch out because of Dead Island, yeah. But a question I had was that I know you can annoy the factions by not doing their missions.
Yes.
Are those time limited?
Some of them are.
Right.
Some of them you got a certain amount of time to do it, or like a certain amount of time to say like a survivor needs your help, and you get a certain amount of time. If you don't do it, then they get eaten alive.
Aye.
Or some of them actually come for help or something, and then if you don't help them, some of them they'll go away.
Right.
They won't die. They'll just.
Do you have any indication of that? Or
No, they've got a time limit on the
so
screen.
it tells you that.
Aye.
Right.
And you can get outposts.
Uh-huh.
So if you clean out this, I don't know, it was a kitchen or a cafe or something like that, certain outposts have certain benefits. So if it's like a health centre, you'd get med packs,
Uh-huh.
and if it was like a kitchen, you'd get food supply, stuff like that. So
Right.
you need to be quite strategic with that.
Yeah, my issue with time limiting missions is that I want to be able to, in a big game, do everything. I don't like being punished for having taken my time.
No, that's the
fun
same as
somewhere
me.
else.
But the way I look at this is like everything else, you can pause and stuff. It is like they've tried to create this really like panicky kind of environment where someone needs help and they need help the now, and if you don't get there, they're dead or they're gone. But I know what you mean because I like doing that as well.
The one thing that I don't understand it with is the factions, because you can annoy them and it's almost impossible, from what I've heard, to bring them back round to being mates with you.
A lot of the time.
And that's sort of where I'm like, well, fair enough if some person died because I couldn't help them in time or I had to go for a pee or whatever. But it's different when an entire section of the game's cut off. So, and I suppose when it comes to those singular little missions, like requests for help, in an unending survival game, you're just going to loop these round. You're not really missing anything. You're sort of just putting it off till next time. But
a lot of them are as well, like find me supplies or find me materials or find me food, but you really need that for yourself.
Yeah.
You really need that. So a lot of the times I've not done them because I've been needing it at my base.
No, yeah, that's the sort of survivalist aspect of it that plays quite well. If you add everything together, adding in that sort of which is what it's tried to create. I just think that I get it. I do get it, but the idea of having to turn it off just to go for a wee, that's what plays in my head. The rest of it I can understand is fair design choices, but that one's just like, well,
I think there's a learning experience. I know this is the second game I've made, but it's not AAA. It's so £20. It was £20. I know you can get it on Game Pass. I don't really want to sign up for that.
Game Pass is a bit.
Yeah, I'm not keen. It is a good idea, but
it's not there yet.
No,
it's not got enough yet.
But I wanted the physical copy as well. I like physical copies,
like that.
And I like the look of it, so I thought I'd give it a try. I have been enjoying it, but I think I'll maybe get another 5 hours out of it or so to finish. Maybe just finish the main quest, and then that'll probably be it. But I've got my £20 out of it.
There is a main quest story.
Well, not a mate, but they're called legacy goals, legacy missions.
Right, okay.
So
are they random or?
I'm not 100% sure yet.
But
each character has their legacy mission. So whether you be different roles, but you can only finish fully one of their legacy quests. So if I finished it as I think it was the sheriff or something, I can't remember, then that's the end game. But I can finish it with, you can choose, but you can only finish it fully with one character. You can't just finish his one and then do their one.
Yeah.
You need to start a new game to finish their one. So they might be different endings. And they're 3 different locations, so before you start the game, you get to pick what location you want to go to.
Oh, right.
There's 3 of them.
Is it random within that location, or is it?
No, they're just 3.
No, you pick 3. Is it locations on a map?
No, as in maps.
Yeah. So once it puts you into that map world, is it random locations or set locations within that?
I'm not sure. One of them was the Foothouse, which is the one I picked, which is kind of a mix between nature and like a town, like a little town. Right. I think one of them, the other 2, I think one of them was more. There are 3, so I'm not sure if each one's harder than the other, as in for supplies and stuff like that. Right, I'm not too sure. I don't know if we'll go back. Maybe in the future we'll go back and try the other ones, but not right away because it'll just be far too tedious.
How many saves can you run at once?
1, I think.
Just
I think
one?
It's just the one. Because you've got continue a new game.
Right, okay, so probably.
You can have it put my online settings off in multiplayer, but you can have people join your game and help you online,
I've seen
which is quite good. If you need help or that, you can shout people in and they'll come in and help you and they can jump back out. But I've not done that. I've just kind of just...
When it comes to levelling up the characters that you've got, which way have you found yourself spreading them out so that each of them does a certain thing, or just avoiding entire trees at all?
Usually the two main characters I use are mostly action based, to be honest. There's things called plague hearts, which are kind of like summons, really, in a way, for zombies. I mean, around the plague hearts there are more powerful zombies, and blowing them up it doesn't... At first I thought maybe there'll be no more zombies around this area once I take this out, but it's not the case. You need a lot of explosives to do them, and it's quite rare to get good explosives like C4 and stuff like that. You can build a weapons workshop and upgrade it a few tiers to do that, but you need a lot of materials and stuff to do that. So explosives I've kept them to specifically take them out. I think there are maybe 5 of them per map or something like that.
Is there a level cap, and when it comes to leveling up the characters, is it just the ones you're actively using that get any sort of experience?
Aye.
Right, okay. And
also, you can find like encyclopedias, well, that's what they're called, which are basically skill books. Like in Skyrim, if you read the book, your skill would go up.
Yeah.
So there's some of them in it.
So in Skyrim, if you read a book called Locks Made Easy, you'd get +1 to your lock picking.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's kind of like that.
Right.
Like, it's like you read a book and it increases your skill level.
Yeah.
The Sims had a similar...
Well, no, because that one, it's the amount of time you spend reading it, whereas this is just you pick up the book and you immediately get...
They're quite rare to find, though.
That's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
That's why I said it.
It sounds like it can be fun if that's your sort of thing, but there's quite a few things in there that would put you off it if it wasn't for you.
I think if it was 40 quid, I wouldn't have bought it, because I knew what I was going into it.
Aye.
I knew what it was going to be. So that's why, I can't really have much to complain about, because I knew what it was going to be like when I bought it. All in all, though, it has been enjoyable.
Well, you seem to have got about £1 an hour.
It's pretty good.
So that's alright. Yeah, I didn't last quite so long playing through Dead Island before I was just like...
CC Solo, I couldn't have played that through, so I think the only thing that kept it going was because the two of me and Andrew played it, but playing it by myself, I don't think I could have got it.
The real challenge there is trying to get to the loot before him.
Borderlands flashbacks.
I played a couple of missions on Borderlands with Hills.
Runs through and just hoovers up all the good gear. Well, they're not 6 chests there. No, nothing there. No. But they're empty.
They were empty.
Suspicious.
Got you.
What was Borderlands? I've definitely heard of it, but I can't place what it looks like.
Is it 2D the art style's called, or
cell shaded art style?
Shaded, that's the one I'm looking for. Sorry.
Borderlands is it's basically a multiplayer shooter,
right?
But it was crazy.
Loot based shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole idea was that they had bazillions of different guns because they were procedurally generated.
Okay.
So there would randomly be a different type of gun, then that gun would have different colour, it would have different elemental attack tribute, a different level, different all that jazz, and it meant that they had billions of guns that would randomly pop in.
Right.
So Hills likes to go the sniper,
and
then somehow end up in front of you grabbing all the loot.
It was annoying. That annoyed me.
He's not listening.
That's why I stopped playing. That's why I stopped playing with him on Borderlands, because it was because I usually went maybe mid-range, like rifles, not snipers, but machine guns, rifles, shotguns. Aye.
You were the assault rifle.
Even if that's what you were doing, you still bomb ahead and hoover everything up. I was like, would I not be getting better use out of that? He's pretty good to play on in certain games. Like if we're playing a custom game of Halo 5, he'll work with you in a team.
Right.
But as soon as there's a loot element to it, he becomes a different creature. He becomes like Gollum, basically. President!
Or Smog just sitting on top of his guns.
Exactly, just sitting on top of his huge pile of guns. Barrel Rider.
You're not going to use that shotgun. My shotgun.
It would be better, I think, if you were in a party and you can't use a weapon, you couldn't pick it up. If the game just knew, well, that's the shotgunner, you can't really use a shotgun, you can't pick it up.
I'd like that. Or even, there's a game that does it. I heard the Division 2's doing this, where if you're playing multiplayer in their loot, say they're, a cupboard to loot, all of these can loot it, not just the one person. So all 4 of these or 3 of these, however many of these are playing it, can loot it. So all of these get the loot. The giant works really well.
In Elder Scrolls Online, when you defeat a Dark Anchor, I think they're called, a chest appears. Everybody gets to open it.
I see. They should do that. It's a better idea.
Right. That is a good idea.
Maybe they'll do it in the new one, Borderlands.
I think Star Wars rung a bell there. I didn't play it very often with other people, but certain loot, Star Wars: The Old Republic, certain loot would spawn that was yours. The other people couldn't pick it up. It was immediately tagged as yours as soon as it spawned.
Right.
Well, I had a problem with that game though. If you went up against a boss, sometimes it would consider you to have completed the quest. You go into the little boss area that only you can get into because of the energy fields of magic
at the doors and stuff. I remember that.
And it would consider the quest done once you had started fighting the guy. So you would lose against the major boss of the quest,
Have to start.
get kicked out, and you can't get back in because you've completed the mission already.
Oh.
So you don't get that personal achievement of having fought the main boss.
Or getting whatever he's dropped.
Exactly. That's just silly. That's just silly talk. That's just insane.
Just stupid.
Exactly. Now we'll get to the other game you've been playing later because I've been playing it too, and we'll combine that in some sort of unholy fusion.
Where I'd probably just stare at you both blankly, going, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Basically, you react as if you were in the game watching us play. Just what, which button's what? And we'll move to Abigail for your weekly roundup of not always GTA 3 because there's an extra couple of games in there now that you've tried in your library.
Yes.
So.
Well, we'll start off with GTA 3, shall we? And then we'll go on. Do you want the GTA 3 roundup or do you want the other two roundup first?
I would start with anything smaller, anything shorter that you can just
glide on by.
Yeah, exactly. That you can just get out of the way, and then we can move on to the more.
Well, as you know, I got was it Sockham 2?
Yes.
And I was gonna have a go at that, and I played it all of maybe about an hour and a half, and was very angry at it because I can't play stealth games. And stop laughing at me.
I remember you texted me about this. It's like, what does Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie mean?
No, I knew what it meant. I just didn't understand what it meant in the game.
No, that's what you were saying. You were saying, what does Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie mean? And I said, well, it means A, B, and C. And you said, yeah, I mean, it's got something specific in the game. I said, have you been watching the cutscenes? No.
I have been watching the cutscenes, but there was a lot going on. I couldn't pay attention
So
to all
you
of
stopped
it.
paying attention.
Yeah. I've got the attention span of a goldfish, you know this.
Yeah. So anyway, I looked up for the goldfish, and it turns out that each map you spawn into, or maybe it's just one big map for the whole game, has preset points, like 8 of them. And when you give your team an order, it sends them off to that area.
Yeah.
So that's why...
Yeah, I could not fathom it at all. I could not complete the first mission. I failed it I don't know how many times. And I was just like, yeah, I've just...
You said that you were pretty close at one point.
Yeah, I was pretty close. And then literally as I got to the door of where this old church I was supposed to get to, mission failed. But someone on my team got spotted.
Yeah, but I think that was because you said that you had hit the group together button.
Yeah, because I thought we had to group together.
Yeah, after you sent them to the other side of the map.
No,
so they just started
running
bombing it towards you.
Well, it took me a while to actually figure out I could actually look at my character. I didn't have to look through the eyes of my character, which was a lot easier.
As in you could change the perspective
Yeah.
to third person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it was just boring because I just didn't understand it. I don't think it's my style of game, or at least I need to play other things before I can get to that kind of level, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did you do any shooting?
Yeah. I took. Well, I didn't take 2 guys out. 2 of my other teammates took them out, and I didn't realize they had, and they were just like lying on the ground. I was like, okay, I wonder what I can do with this. And went up to them, and literally I slowly started dragging them towards the side of the road and just dumped them.
Oh, that's very good. That's a nice.
At least I was at least savvy enough to know. Probably not best to leave them in the middle of the road where this track is, where the enemy's going up and down.
That's one of the things. A good stealth game has to have the ability to move a body, otherwise you just feel a bit stupid. But
Hitman, you can put them all in funny positions.
Yeah, but that's what it needs to keep that. But it doesn't make any sense that a genetically engineered and modified superhuman would just drag him by the shoe, not just pick him up.
No, but this one was actually a bit more, because they actually had him, it wasn't like just dragged by the hand, it was literally like kind of like on the shoulder.
Splinter Cell carry, yeah.
So it was a little bit more realistic that way.
No, but that's the point, is that it doesn't make any sense that the Agent 47 would just drag him when he's so strong he could just pick him up by the foot with his arm outstretched and walk him somewhere. He's dragging them along the floor like it's difficult. He's basically making that up because he can take about 8 rounds to the chest and survive. He's pretending the guy's difficult to lift for some reason, just dragging him along the floor. And then, the best one was, did you play Blood Money? Because there was some weird ragdoll physics.
On the 360?
Yeah, it was the last one for that.
I think that was the last one I played.
No, Absolution was the last one for that.
Oh, so it was. Absolution was the last one I played. I don't think I played Blood Money.
It had this weird sort of physics popping effect where if they got an arm trapped underneath or a leg trapped, they'd start to vibrate and pop it out. And you just end up with them popping into these weird positions.
Was Absolution the one with the nuns? The 4 nuns? Remember that?
Basically,
no,
I think there was
Absolution.
6 or 7 of them, and it was absolutely, and it was sexy nuns.
No, that was the last one I played.
Aye.
In like latex outfits.
PVC, latex, nuns.
Family friendly, guys, family friendly.
Hey,
They weren't very friendly.
They were assassins, so they're not friendly.
They were very shooty.
And they're nuns, so they don't have a family. So they're not family friendly at all.
No, but we are. We're supposed to be family friendly.
You started that mission in a kimono.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of switched off after a little while. I was getting too frustrated. And but the frustration I felt in that was greatly less than the frustration I felt with Tony Hawk Underground 2, which I could not make through the tutorial, for there was this one move I had to do. Basically, if you don't know who Tony Hawk is, pro skater, game is actually quite fun until you get to this one specific trick you have to do in the tutorial, and I could not figure out how to do it at all. I must have spent about 2.5 hours on it on 2 separate days trying to master it, and I just couldn't.
What trick is it? What does it look like?
You have to
flippy skateboarding trick.
grind out a quarter pike, jump over to another rail, and then jump onto another quarter pike and grind again. And I couldn't jump onto the other rail.
Right, okay. That does sound difficult, but it shouldn't be in a game.
Because I just couldn't, because every time I had jumped, I wasn't jumping far enough.
This is PlayStation 2, right?
Yes.
So that's probably...
What else would it be? It's only going to be
See, the thing
PlayStation
is,
2. That's what I have.
When you're playing these games decades after they came out, it's no the same as when you played them when they came out.
Yeah.
So like, even now, if I love the game so much on the PlayStation, you got all these so good memories, and you put it on, and then you're just like, and some of the mechanics in that then were fine, but going back playing them now, they just seem dated and so sluggish. And Tony Hawk's, I can remember playing that, but I think everyone's been screaming for a new one.
Was it called Session?
I think it Xbox exclusive for the way it looked. I can't remember it being shown at any other.
It was shown at the Microsoft one, wasn't it? And that's all we saw.
And SOCOM 2 was massive online when that first came out on the PS2.
Yeah.
Like that was one of like the first PS2 games online they had, and they had like a really hardcore fan base on SOCOM 2. Like really.
I didn't have a PlayStation 2 and even I heard of it.
I'm sure they were an edition where you got a headset, SOCOM headset, in PlayStation 2 one.
Mm.
That was what was big about it, was the headset did not include a microphone, so you could tell the team where to go.
That was a really like one of the first kind of team-based games like that on the PlayStation. Well, altogether.
And it worked with a single player as well. You could tell the computer control characters where to go.
Well, obviously,
which in your case would be off.
To me,
obviously, I have a lot to learn before I go back to that game. But
and their weekly roundup of GTA 3.
I wasn't finished talking about.
Oh right, I thought you were. That sounded a lot like you were going somewhere else.
No, like it's enjoyable up until that one point because it was quite funny at the start of it. Like the open cutscene was, I thought, very funny. There's like this kid who's like supposed to be a pro skater, but is completely in a body cast and like headgear on, and gets chosen to be on a team before your character gets chosen. which I thought was quite funny.
I think that one that might be the skater game that ends up with a guy throwing Molotov cocktails at you at one point in a race.
I don't know, but yeah. So in story mode, it's cool because you have this option to do freak out. If you screw up on a trick, you just smash the the triangle button, and then you can just start smashing up your skateboard. But I find it funny that out of nowhere, just out off the side of the screen, someone just chucks you another board. The exact same. So even if you custom make your own board, just chucks
the exact
another
same one.
Yeah.
Happen to have one of these lying around.
Which I actually quite enjoy. I thought it was quite funny, but this is disappointing that one trick is just ruining it for me.
That works a wee bit better nowadays with the fact that you could just 3D print the board probably and just chuck it at them. But I think the problem with Tony Hawk was that when they made 5, it was a disaster. They had these really great things in it. I think they'd been in a couple of games before where if you had a crash, you could see your guy's body getting smashed to pieces from the inside, sort of like the Sniper Elite.
Or like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, the fatalities. But with the reason is that people are convinced that what the company did was they were signed a contract to make so many of these games. This was the last one they had to make. They weren't getting the contract back, so just went like,
who cares?
Whatever. Put out a piece of nonsense that was so buggy it didn't work, and it just sort of sunk the whole thing.
Skate was good. If you ever played Skate. I think there are 3 of them, maybe. I only played the first one.
I didn't play any.
I had a skateboard game on my laptop, and I think it was called Skate. I think it might have been one of those.
That was a good game.
But that was one where you were just looking at your character, and it was just like in one sort of kind of perspective of it. That's what it was.
Well, like a 2D side scroll.
Yeah, something like it. Maybe it wasn't that. I don't know.
I don't think it would have been. I think Skate would have been 3D.
It was. It was 3D.
Oh, well.
Yours would have been called Skate ? Apostrophe X. Sort of little.
I just wanted a game that reminded me of Spyro in that skateboarding section in Spyro. I don't know why there was one, but there you
go. Yeah, that's a bit weird. That in Spyro, that was quite different.
If you get an Xbox soon, you'll get the Spyro trilogy remastered, which is coming out in September.
Remastered.
Which I'm definitely buying the day it comes out because I've been waiting for this for so long for Spyro.
Did they not
I enjoy Spyro.
There's one of the games isn't in it now.
I think it's 2 of them. I think it's either 2 or 3 or 3 that it needs to be downloaded. No, they're still in it, but you need to download it.
Right, okay.
Like you're still getting the 3 games. But apparently maybe only 1 or 2 of them are actually on disc and the other one needs to be downloaded.
The disc would have to be enormous. Well, enormous it'd have to be.
We just make case this right. Pizza box.
What's it? Yeah. LP size.
Yeah, it would probably. Just like, we had to make the disc a bit bigger and you can't get it in the Xbox. Like, well, this wasn't thought through. We'll have to make the disc more complicated, more advanced.
I'd still pretty good. You're getting all 3 games for I think it's like 30 quid. You're getting it brand new.
That's not bad.
Which is pretty good. Really good.
Was
actually.
it most games are what, about 40 quid now? 45.
If they really wanted to, they could have milked it. They could have milked it, released all 3 of them separately, and they haven't. They're putting them all in the one.
Side note: that's kind of one thing that always put me off getting any new consoles was the cost of new games because it's extortionate.
If you look around though and give it. You see now because of that much competition, usually within a week or 2 you can get it
much cheaper.
cheaper.
And online with the sales, and as they get rid of shops selling physical copies, the price of digital will probably go down.
Right.
But I think the real problem, it was a massive problem years ago, back when there was like a 2-to-1 exchange rate and we were paying the same price as the Americans, which is just a rip-off. But now it's, thanks to Theresa May, it's basically 1-to-1. So you can, it's a bit of a better deal, really.
Right.
You're actually paying roughly the same price. Anyway.
I'm still paying, what was it, £1 for my...
You're still paying £1.
For my games.
It's a whole $1.
So GTA 3 roundup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took a break from it for a few days. Just because I was kind of having enough. I was kind of at a stalemate with it. I just wasn't progressing, which is when I decided to play the 2 most enraging games in my collection at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's probably
why I went back to it.
That break didn't last very long because...
But I think last time we were talking about, you were advising me to look up how to do a drive-by, and I was convinced you couldn't do one, and then I found out you could.
Yeah, you should be able to.
But it's not been shown to me how to do it yet, I think in the game or something like that, so I just looked up online. And I was able to do that mission where I had to do a drive-by shooting.
I don't think the game shows you how to do a drive-by.
Well, then that is completely useless.
No,
especially if you need it to complete a mission.
No, I think it's at some point it's probably told you how to look from side to side, and you've thought, this is useless, why am I doing this? And then you've had a gun, and if you'd done then, the wee circle of death with the dot in the middle would have appeared.
That circle doesn't appear for me.
Okay, maybe that's a Vice City San Andreas thing.
No, but I've seen this circle, this dot in this game on online tutorials. I don't have that, and they're playing PS2.
Maybe it's only certain guns that have it.
I had a problem with my Vice City copy where the lock-on never worked.
My lock-on to shoot enemies is not working.
Yeah.
I've tried it loads of times, especially, well, not with this one, but I was stuck on a mission for a long time called Silence the Sneak, where you basically have to kill a dirty cop. Basically, you have to throw a grenade into the window of the safe house. That somehow doesn't kill him, and he's able to escape, and then you have to try and track him down while at the same time being shot with machine guns. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I did an online tutorial, and I was watching this guy, and what he did was he blocked up one of the escape routes with all these cars, like literally just getting cars in. And I kept doing that, but my cars kept disappearing. I literally go back, I was like, I've just spent 20 minutes building up all these cars, and they've all gone. So I put more cars in, and then they disappear, and they kept doing this. I thought, maybe I'm hitting them, and they're just like exploding.
Were you running really, really far away to get another car?
No.
Oh, right.
Like on the street. Like it's like a little alleyway, like alleyway type of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, this is taking forever. Right, I'm going to look up actually how to do this. And I saw someone reading, sometimes when you leave your cars unattended, they end up in the impound. They just disappear into the impound. It's like, oh great, that would have been handy to know that.
About 4 hours ago.
And basically suggested to go find, this one guy found a bus and just blocked off where they're actually going to leave the building from and just chucking grenades at it. Couldn't find a bus, so I basically ended up getting, the front of a truck without the back of it.
Right,
Park one of those up, but they were still able to get out of that. So then I thought, what about these like army truck things that they have, and that finally worked.
The flatbed trucks.
I don't know if that's what they're called,
Was it flat at the back?
Yeah.
Or was it the canvas wrap?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the canvas wrapped one.
Right. Okay.
So that worked, which was great. And then the next one, what was it? I'm blanking on what it was. But again, it was really, really irritating. I had it in my head what it was, and I can't for the life of me remember.
Was it a vehicle type?
I can't remember.
Okay, well...
Oh, yes, I remember now. You have to go up to this... This happens a lot. I'll not know anything, and then, 20 seconds later, I'll shout it out. You have to help this one guy with one...
Potato!
Such a child.
You have to help this one guy.
With one arm.
With one arm.
And,
He needs a hand. Just edit that out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because that guy's in Vice City. Because he sells arms. He's actually an arms salesman.
So anyway, again, there's another gang that rolls up and you have to take them all out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many of them, and again, looked up how to do it, and they said
block them in with a bus.
block them out with an army truck, which is on the compound. But literally these guys just appear within seconds, so you only have seconds to really park up, right? But for some reason my character keeps coming out on the side where the gang is. If they won't come out, he won't come out on the other side. There's a little gateway.
Yeah.
So the truck is on the impound side, on the compound side. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's where you need to park it. But for some reason, my guy keeps getting out on the opposite side.
Right.
Just gets shot.
Are you parking up so that the side facing the gang is the left-hand side of the vehicle?
Yeah, because that's what all the tutorials told me to do.
Right, but that's the driving side in America. You need to park with the right-hand side up against it.
You don't have time.
Or what to do is there you said that there's a gateway, right?
Yeah.
Is there is a gap? Could you park it with the door up against a pillar or a piece of fence or something?
I don't know, possibly.
Because if you do that, he'll have to get out the other side.
Yeah. I'll try that, but even when I was parking it up perfectly, they were still getting around, and I just keep getting shot. I've not passed that yet, so again, driving me a little bit mad. And especially it's annoying because I can't do the lock on, so I have no idea where these enemies are coming from, so I'm just blindly shooting about the place.
Yeah, that was annoying for a couple of missions on Vice City when I didn't have the lock on. The one where you have to save Lance, absolute nightmare.
Lance
without a
Vance.
lock on. Absolute nightmare because they're hiding everywhere and you can't see
Will
them.
Smith with a pink suit on, basically.
Well, at the moment on, how did we decide
Yeah,
we were
Fresh
going to call
Prince,
it?
Will Smith, yeah.
Staunton Island or Stanton Island?
Staunton, so they'll get
Staunton.
sued.
Staunton Island. I'm just doing the Dirty Cops missions now. I've done all
Laundry.
all the laundry. All the laundry.
Right, okay. But you're getting there.
Yeah, but I'm still not doing the racing missions yet.
Because you're not comfortable with the cars which detonate when
Yeah.
farted at.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, we'll move on to what I've been playing.
Yes.
I'll start off with a small of what I've been playing mainly, and then we can have a quick 5 minutes about the side game that James and I have been venturing through. That we can't get our fire team to join in with. I've just played through the first few hours of The Crew.
Which is
The first one.
Yes. I had a look at this because I saw everybody playing The Crew 2 in gameplay videos and trying to compare it to The Crew and say, oh, this is so much better because you can do this, you can do that, you can do the next thing. So I thought, I'm going to test that. I'm going to play The Crew and see if all this stuff is new or if they've just forgotten the previous good stuff and all the made up the current good stuff, all that jazz. If their mind's playing tricks on them. And the story is a bit sort of predictable. So you this isn't a spoiler as such. It's the whole premise of the game, which is that your brother runs a motor gang, and you take him to go meet one of his lieutenants who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you park your car and you're staring at their car in a dark alleyway, and your brother gets out and walks up to them, right? And you're sitting there and you see this coming a mile away. He's like, he's going to get shot. He's going to get shot. He's going to get shot in the face. Well, he doesn't get shot in the face because he turns around and walks back to the car. He doesn't get shot till he's halfway there. And then the guy chucks the gun out and drives away. I don't know why I'm doing the running animation for drives away, but he drives away. And then the police come round while you're looking after your brother who's bleeding to death.
And then you get framed. Well, not
Yeah.
framed, but
Because the cop turns out to be a bad naughty cop.
a dirty cop like in
Exactly.
GTA.
So we need to do his laundry too. You end up going to prison for apparently what's 5 years, although it's not made clear at the time if later mission brings that up. And an FBI agent wants to arrest the cop and Shiv and shut down the whole gang if she can. And so she hires you because you're a great driver. And says, right, I'll let you'll get out of here if you help me arrest them. And the whole premise is, it's got one major flaw which they try and explain away, but I'm not buying, which is your brother's crew was chased out of town, so nobody knows who you are. What? I was sitting in the car next to Shiv could see me when he shot him. They planted the gun specifically to frame me. How is he not going to recognise me? I've not even had a shave and a haircut. So I don't buy that. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe the lower down ones does, but not for the... I haven't met him yet, but the first time you come across Shiv, he should immediately go, what the...
Flip.
Wait a minute! So, I don't buy that. But the real big one for me is when you have the conversation with the FBI agent, right? And she's sitting across from you saying, if you help me get them, you're out of here. I'm in. Seriously, if you help me get them, I'll let you out. I've already said I'm in. Okay, I'm just making sure. And then something else happens where they're wandering around doing stuff, right? And it's just, he's chained to the table like in the cop interview rooms, and she's just wandering around for some reason. I don't know why. I think she's walking around the table to get hold of the pictures. And she's just, the folders that they've got, and she put that out. And she tries to take the pictures back, and he puts his hands down on them and says, that's mine. She goes, yeah, whatever gets you going. She leaves him with the pictures. But she's just he's had to prove that he's willing to do it, right? He's like, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to do this, But then after that, he then says something along the lines of, seriously, Hen, I'm in. And she's like, yeah, no. So she tried to convince him after he said he was in, and then after she accepts that he's in, he tries to convince her that he wants in. Mm-hmm. It's just random. It's almost as if they took random audio clips from the conversation and rearranged them, and it doesn't make any sense anymore. And there's one part immediately after this cutscene where you've got Troy Baker, who's just, you can't forget it because it makes no sense. And they must have been unable to get Troy Baker back to do some of the other recording, because then you've suddenly got this Troy Baker like, I'm in. I'm doing this.
He's a good voice actor as well.
Yeah.
Must just be bad writing.
And then suddenly you've got... he does it perfectly. It's just terrible writing.
Troy Baker's one of the creators of South Park, isn't he?
No.
No? Okay.
That's Trey Parker.
Trey Parker.
Troy Baker is the guy who did the Joker in Arkham Origins, and he did... was it Yuzuki in Persona 4?
I can't remember.
I think it was Yuzuki in Persona 4.
Who does Nathan Drake?
That's Nolan North.
Nolan North, that's it.
Yeah. But one of the big sort of like 2 or 3 massive voice actors in games. Yeah. And
he's but I'm sure he does a voice in Destiny too as well, Troy Baker. I'm sure he does the Ghost now. Remember that Peter Dinklage?
That's Nolan North.
Is it?
Yeah. And Nathan Fillion does Kate Six.
Yeah, I know he's in it. Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's just brilliant.
He's always good.
I'm brilliant. He's brilliant. I'm brilliant. He's brilliant. We're all brilliant. I really like Nathan Fillion. They gave me his own Halo game because he was so great, and he was like, yeah, I really want to be in this. So they just recruited his Firefly squad, and they just did a Halo game.
He's in Halo 5.
Yeah.
He's a Spartan now.
Yeah, he's been upgraded. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to know how they made him taller. But other than that,
big boots,
massive shoes.
Everyone else in a trench.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Tom Cruise method.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the actual original Spartans comes up to him, so he's just like, wait, gets on a box.
Tom Cruise message is just massive soles on his shoes. Yeah.
No, that's what was it? Mission Impossible 2 was it? I can't remember the name of the girl who was like
Tandy Newton.
Yeah,
she said him on a box.
She said she had to stand in a trench.
Really?
Yeah, there was like this little trench she had to stand in.
Small man complex.
See, when he's with Cameron Diaz, she must be in like a bunker, like a foxhole.
Yeah, Cameron Diaz she's quite tall. Yeah.
She's nearly 6 foot, if not. He's like nearly 3 foot, so she must be
just below the 3 foot mark.
But anyway, so immediately after you've got Troy Baker in this harrowing, in inverted commas, scene, she says, he's like, I'm in, let's do this. And it cuts out to him in a car, and she's talking to him like, you should try the race just to make sure you know how to drive a car. Well, why didn't you do that before you hired me? So he's and instead of it being Troy Baker, you just end up with this guy going, yes, alright, okay, let's do this. It's completely not him. And there must have been someone in the audience. This game is huge. Sorry, not the audience, the office. This game is huge. There must have been someone that could do a passable Troy Baker instead of what appears to be just Bob from accounting.
Like a South American guy by the sound of it.
Yeah, really high-pitched South
Puerto
American
Rican
girl. Just like, it's okay, let's do this. Like, it's me, Marina. It's just, I don't know what they've done, but I mean, it's not that big a difference. But you immediately are aware that's not Troy Baker. Mm-hmm. Who's in the car? What have they done with the guy? And the main character is called Alex, right? Looks exactly like the guy from Half-Life.
What's his name in Half-Life again?
Jensen, isn't it? Alex Jensen.
Jensen, is it? I can't remember.
I mean, that's just...
Is he got...
Yeah, I mean, he looks just like him, and you can tell, and I suppose this is why they took the... okay, that's not it. I'll have a quick look. Half-Life.
Just Morgan, is it not?
Oh no, you're right. It's Morgan Freeman. It's Morgan Freeman. The woman's called Alex. The woman he meets is called Alex. Gordon Freeman, not Morgan Freeman. Gordon Freeman.
That's
That's the one time.
a DLC.
The skin you can buy. But actually, I was going to say there that that's the one person you can confuse Morgan Freeman with, and it's not racist. But then I said you could buy his skin. But yeah, sorry. It's Alex is the woman in Half-Life, the second one and all that, and they've just taken his character, the look of his character. He's even got glasses and the beard, and they've just given him her name. And you're just sitting there going, this is ridiculous. The story's been made to service the whole concept, but I genuinely cannot see why having no story is better.
At least the seems I've kind of tried, at least for the kind of game it is.
Yeah.
A racing game.
That's-
I've kind of tried with
I've got more respect for that than
Mhm.
just cut it out, because that's just...
Then just start up a race and someone talking to you saying, "Oh, your brother's dead. Beat these guys in a race."
Yeah. But, I mean, the whole thing starts, you're just driving. It cuts from the cutscene straight into you driving a car. And it does that several times, where at the start of a race, it will have like a countdown and the picture of the car, and then you'll go, and you won't have control to start, which I don't necessarily like. But there are other things where it does let you control the start, because that's actually integral to the whole thing. Like you can do these drag races across the salt flats, so it's integral to the whole thing, the start, when it comes to the RPM and all the rest of it. But I'm not a great fan of a lot of that automation that they've put in for the starts of races. And the menu system, because it's the whole of America, it has to load up the menu when you go to the map, and it also has to load out of the map to load up the real world again. And you can zoom all the way back to see all of America, and it colours in where you've been and keeps it sort of like a metallic grey when you haven't been there. And it's got different tab options for story missions and other races and stuff like that, landmarks you can go and visit, but it doesn't have them all on the page at once, which I find a bit tedious. I'd like that option. Something a bit more, I've not seen it yet, maybe it is there, but a bit more custom, where you can tick what you want to see on it.
Mhm.
And the main menu is just your phone. So you load into the map, it zooms all the way back, you can zoom all the way in as well, and you can actually see the buildings and the cars around you. But the cars on the map keep moving, but the cars in real life are stationary, I think. No, your car's stationary and it's stationary in the map, but the other cars, like the NPC cars that are just floating around in the real world, they keep moving. So you could end up with this sort of thing where you start a traffic jam in the map. But, that's individual stuff, that's okay, and the loading time's annoying. And they've also got the DLC in it now, where the first mission of the DLC you have to do to make the game run, but you're supposed to be this really amazing, great driver, and then the first mission in the DLC, which I didn't even know was DLC, you go a female police officer who's English in America, don't know why. The FBI is normally quite racist in its hiring policy, and you can't come from outside of America, really.
You just got off all assassins.
It's all assassin. The CIA will have to assassinate
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you
on
for
behalf
that.
of the FBI.
I'm okay, I could get away with it in my accent. I'm one of you.
You'd be done for treason.
Damn it. I'm not one of you. I'm not.
But the woman then has to arrest him. That's part of her test.
Mm.
And then you can't do any of the other stuff because it's DLC, which it doesn't properly tell you until you go and buy a police car to do the missions, and it says, oh no, you can't do this. You have to buy the DLC. And I was like, well, he's supposed to be this uber awesome driver, and yet within an hour I've already arrested him.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? It doesn't make any sense. It's that sort of like, oh, let's just put it in and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Which I can sort of understand, but the response wasn't, let's put more effort into the story, it's let's just destroy the story. So I don't think that's better. I think the vehicle changing stuff's cool for the second one, which isn't in the
second
first.
one's got like planes, boats,
Aye.
motorbikes.
Yes, it does actually, I think, have bikes, but they're not a separate category. I think they count as cars when it comes to vehicle changing.
I'd love to see that in a Forza game, but it won't happen.
Yeah. I don't think you can change a vehicle outside of special menus, and it's quite limited in the number of vehicles in the game, but that doesn't really bother me because I think the way they've set up the menus, it would be very, very, very tedious for you to be working that with like 100 different cars. But maybe there are, and I just haven't got them yet. It starts you off in Detroit, which looks kind of great. The views are good. The camera angle, the perspective might not be brilliant for driving across an entire country, because some of the buildings which are about to be, that's tiny, that's miles away, I can't even see. Oh my god, it's in my face! And
Popping.
It's not popping. It's just a sort of when you're moving fast, and the buildings are tiny because it's got to give this huge perspective for the whole country, and then suddenly, wham, and you just, oh my god, what am I doing? And the racing's been really good, but the cars don't behave entirely like they should. Like the acceleration is good, but they feel a little bit too squirrely. And then I turned off all the driver assists. They feel much better. The driver assists, I think it has a steering assist in it, which means that you just don't have full control.
No.
So that got much better. I didn't even know I had nitrous until I looked down at the bottom left, and I saw this wee bar. And I had pressed A just to find out. I was trying to find the handbrake, and suddenly I got this boost, and the bar went down. So I had to find that. It's a lot of finding it. You know, it won't tell you how to do something until you come across it, and then it'll suddenly give you the play-in. While you're driving around the open world, you can come across these wee skill challenges to do that give you rank up. And depending on how well you do a race or a skill challenge, you get obviously more money and more experience, but you also get parts that you can immediately put into your car. And that's pretty good, that very quick system for putting stuff in your car.
Yeah.
But the primary the issue for me with those is it's really great how you can be driving somewhere, set up a nav point if you want, or you can fast travel and you can set up a nav point, and then you can come across these skill things and still do them with a nav marker. So if it says drive as fast as you can, okay, fine, I'll do it on the way there, you know. But then once you've done it, you have to press A to accept, because you can press X to retry. And it won't take you back to the beginning unless you press to retry. But if you press A, it has to do a quick load for you to then continue the drive, which feels like, you made it so flawless coming in. Maybe you could have done that leaving as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they've improved that, and if they have, that's fantastic. I think the major problem for me though is I can handle the stupid story. That's just funny. And the major problem for me is there's two things, one which is funny and one which is just annoying, which is the cars hitting other cars or buildings or walls or even just objects feels odd. Like sometimes you hit a building full in the face and you sort of do this weird bounce off and still have half your speed. Sometimes you stop dead. Sometimes you'll hit a building just at like a 20-degree angle or something, like you should skiff off it and you stop dead. I think the biggest one though is when it comes to hitting other cars, which is where you'll hit another car and it'll bounce 100 miles away like you're in a tank and it's made entirely of rubber filled with helium. But other times it'll stop you dead for no real reason. You've hit it the same way and suddenly you're dead. When you're racing other drivers and you're trying to nudge them out the way, sometimes they'll move out the way like they're cozy coupes rather than racing cars, and sometimes they're just bricks and you just can't get them to move no matter what you do. There's an inconsistency.
Hit detection.
There's an inconsistency with the way the physics interacts when you've got your car hitting stuff. I mean, it does feel a bit squirrely, like I said, when you're driving. So maybe there's a combination there. It's much better with the assists off, but it's still there. But yeah, it's a bit weird. And with the perspective, like I mentioned, where the buildings are done up so you feel like you're driving to a real city, so there's not quite as much height in them. They're difficult to see at range. And then you know how the boundaries to tell you which way to go in a street race, the big non-existent arrows, you can drive through them in this game. They're not there as like bowling rails. They're like directions, so you can drive through them. And do you know what I'm talking about, Avio?
I can sort of.
If there's a street race, to stop you just going down any road you want, it will direct you towards the checkpoints you have to go through by having massive arrows covering any roads you're not supposed to take, telling you which way to go.
Yeah.
In this game, unlike say Most Wanted, I think where you can hit off them, in this one you can go through them.
Oh, okay.
So you get punished for trying to ram off the wall and use it as a brake. I think your car would be destroyed anyway, but you can't do that. But sometimes the arrows, because like I said, they can be so far away, your subconscious mind will read them as saying, right, don't go that way. But sometimes the arrow is pointing you. So I had this one element where it was pointing me to go left, but I found a gap somehow between two buildings on the right hand side with no arrows over it. So my subconscious said, don't go left, go right. I drove down this tiny wee alley and suddenly saw all the other cars on my minimap turn left and I realised I'd gone the wrong way. But that sort of stuff is annoying, but you can live with it. But the sort of slight squirreliness in some of the driving and the weird way the car reacts is just odd. And then you've got the whole, I don't know, it's not a when you come, obviously with the squirreliness combined with the fact it's real world, so when you come up to a jump, if you're slightly squirrely, it totally accentuates it because you can't correct it, so you end up facing like the wrong way completely because you've had a squirrel while jumping, you know. It's just, so if you've got a wee bit of a squirrel and you're pointing 5 degrees the wrong way and heading that way, you suddenly start spinning once you're off the ground like a top. But
that sounds so not fun.
No, it isn't. It's a bit tedious. You get a bit worked up. But the car bumping is the oddest one. The real, some of the good aspects about it is you do have control over your car. It's not too complicated the way they've set the system up. They do hold your hand for quite a lot at the start, and you get a free car to work with at the beginning and all that. When it comes to you do level up your character and you get perks, so you get rewards depending on, it seems to be character specific with who you're interacting with. So the first person you have is Zoe, who's your police FBI liaison, and she gives you things like if you put 5 points into this perk, you have a 10% chance of getting an extra perk point when you level up, or 10% more experience for every
money
race,
and stuff,
that sort of stuff. I think it's money and experience, so that system looks quite good and quite interesting, and you've got control over your cars. It's just those two wee things, the way the car reacts and the wee squirreliness, and I suppose a third would be the perspective, but I think it has to be that way to give you the idea you're driving around the real country.
Right.
It might also be to try and solve the problem of like the first third, the top 30% of a screen in a racing game is just sky. So a lot of them do things by putting like banners or clouds or balloons or stuff like that in it to try and give you the idea of something's happening. Maybe this is what they've done, change the perspective a bit, but that's a bit of a worry as well. But I'm having a bit of fun with it, actually, I have to say. I'm not just looking at it anymore to see its comparison. I am having a bit of fun with the missions, and I do kind of want to know whether or not Troy Baker / random guy from The Office who sounds nothing like him actually achieve their goal.
See, on the second one, I heard a few the microtransactions are quite bad with the second one. Apparently, the best car in the game, you need to grind for it. Quite a lot of grinding, but apparently you can just pay for it right at the start of the game. You can have the car right off the bat at the start of the game.
I've heard that. I know apparently with the second one there's this weird, if you don't pick up the loot, it goes to a container in the main area, hub area of the game, but it doesn't tell you that's what it is. It doesn't tell you that's what the containers are for. It doesn't tell you where the containers are. You just happen to come across them randomly in the main hub area of the game if you happen to go away over to the corner of it, but there's no reason to go over there as you're told. You'd have no idea why you would until you suddenly find this crate, and there's no reason to go back to the main hub area because there's no story. So stuff like that seems to be to impede your progress, to frustrate you into buying what you want, even if you've earned it, which I think is just stupid. This one doesn't seem to have microtransactions from what I've seen. You can buy like credits and stuff, but it doesn't. It seems to be just a big DLC pack for that English FBI agent. Again, I have no problem with her being a woman. It's why is she English in the FBI? So I'm confused.
Do you know who plays her voice?
Who plays her voice? That's a bit of a specific request. I'm pretty sure there's an entire character being played there. No. I
You're
think
ready for a smack in the face.
it might be a fake English accent. And if it isn't, there's an English woman out there being really stereotypical when she's hired. That's a bit confusing. But once you've done that opening DLC mission, it seems to allow you to just explore and discover stuff for yourself, which I suppose is the whole point, really. I don't necessarily think they've improved it very much between two. They might have
chucked a few things in,
like verved it up a bit, polished it off, but I don't think they've actually improved it.
No.
Beyond that, from the looks of it, but maybe to play is to see. I don't know. And the other game we've been playing is Halo 5. Oh no! Going back to the crew for a second. Interesting story. I was driving down a road, saw a drivatar coming at me. This must be a problem with the drivatar coding. I was driving down a road and did a U-turn at a tree. Went past and went back the way I'd gone because I'd taken a wrong turn again. And there was a drivatar coming towards me, and just as it passed me, it veered off to the right hand side, and I heard it, and we're going to be quiet for a few seconds so I can cut this in so the people listening can hear it, hit off the tree I'd turned at. It veered off the road for no reason, straight into a tree. There was no reason to turn. You'll be able to see it in the mini-map on the bottom left of the video that will be up just now. It just veers wildly into a tree for no reason whatsoever. There's a couple of elements like that. Cars, just drive-atar cars.
Was it a woman driver?
I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
I'm only joking.
All I know that the person, I think, had a weird selection of alphanumerics for their name, so I can't judge gender from that, or race or ethnicity or even age. But what I can...
Or race or species.
Well, no, they've got the required digits to use the steering wheel. But there is a number of
It's just
occasions...
one of those driving dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Or babies.
Oh, I hope the dog's okay.
Yeah. There's a child using the accelerator with their hands and another one steering the wheel. Or Toy Story.
Madagascar penguins.
Yeah. But
Sounds like something they would do.
but the
They wouldn't crash.
there's been a couple of other instances where you come up to a red light and you stop just to sort of buy into the whole world, and then a drive-atar just plows into people waiting. Just sitting there, the drive-atar comes up the other lane and just annihilates everything. You know?
Are they pedestrians in that game?
Yes, but you can't run them over. They just magically disappear out the way. Like,
I thought you
oh my
were
god!
like
and straight
bounce,
out
the
that way.
car bounces off them or something.
Oh, that would be impossible. You go up the pavement for a street race. You doing. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying, we've been playing some Halo 5. We did try some firefights together and some arenas, some SWATs.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm playing on my own, I play the Castle Wars, Capture the Flag.
I've not played that either.
It's one castle, another castle,
Yes.
joined together by a sort of small walkway. And that varies depending on the design. The outlay of the castle and the walkway differs depending on the actual map you're on. So sometimes you'll have vehicles and you can drive straight down it. Sometimes there'll be something in the middle you've got to drive around. Sometimes you can't drive down it, or you can only use a mongoose rather than a warthog. Sometimes it'll be an ice pathway, so it's all bumpy rather than a road. And the outlay of the castle, sometimes there'll be shortcuts to get to the top, sometimes there won't. Sometimes there'll be the flag's always at the top, and sometimes there's boosts you can take, or you can to throw you into the middle of the map so you can get further forward, because as with all capture the flags, you don't sprint while you're holding the flag. All that sort of stuff, that's sort of variable. There was one map that actually has a tower in the middle that you can get to the top of and then drop down on people using the Spartan
Ground punch.
ground pound, that's the one. But the idea is always the same. You spawn in your own castle. You start in a little area, little alcove, and then there's a series of those one-way gates that only your team can get through, and that's to stop them basically ambushing you as you spawn in, and you can so they can't basically just take your castle, because you can't throw grenades through those, so you'd have to fight through them.
Right.
But the second one, the reason there's a second gate is because you can't stand in that area for more than 10 seconds before it kills you, because you're off the map. And that's to stop you hiding in there and then killing people through it. And then you run out into the area, and sometimes it's vehicles. Everybody's got a sword. Sometimes there's a special weapon, which will be a sword or a hammer in the middle. Everybody has one sticky grenade, and that's it. You can pick up more, but you only get one at a time. And then you just got to have a massive fight. There was one map that has sentry guns on top of the castle, so you can shoot people try to drive in. But it's all that sort of variation on the same theme, and I've really enjoyed
I need
it.
to play that.
I really enjoy it. There was one, I genuinely thought people were cheating when they had this massive 40-yard lunge, but it turns out if you sprint with a sword, your lunge range is massive.
Aye.
Which I didn't know, because I've never had the sword, to be honest, apart from a couple of custom games, but we're not really...
There's not enough room really either.
Exactly. But there's one weird thing as well. There are some people that I'm sure aren't behaving themselves entirely properly, because you end up in these 50-50s where you die, and you're not entirely sure how, because you're running at each other full pace sprinting, and then you'll just pound off each other and you'll die, almost as if they used the shoulder barred lunge and got an advantage from it. So there must be something I'm missing from that sort of mechanics of the game. But beyond that, it's trying for me to work out how the Warthog works, because if they attack it from the sides, they seem to slow it down. So you'll plough into 3 or 4 people, but if one of them got a swipe on you, you slowed down by that, and you don't kill them, and then they just annihilate you. But it's really tactical.
Warthog's a jeep, basically.
Yeah. Right.
Mongooses are like a little quad bike. And it's so tactical, all about when you want to be defending, when you want to be attacking, when you want to be using the vehicles so you can get everybody up there.
Is it 1 flag or 2 flag?
It's 2 flag.
Right.
You've got a flag above you, and you need to get that flag to your flag. Sorry, it's a flag above you, and you need to get their flag to that flag. But it's
1 flag was always fun as well.
Yeah,
because it was just a massacre in this pile where the flag was.
And then we had our most glorious flag game
where we basically won it by the 2 of us.
Yeah, I grabbed the flag 3 times, and James just threw himself into hell. Our entire team went left just to get kills. This was in Halo Reach. Their team went right just to get kills, but me and James went to our right and just ran all the way to the base, grabbed the flag and brought it back. And that was when some of them must have twigged, hey, they're not playing capture the flag properly, they're trying to capture the flag. So they started to cover the right hand side, so it was like 3 or 4 against the 2 of us.
Yeah.
So there was one time where James got we both got in, James got killed, he respawned at the base, so he grabbed the mongoose, picked me up and drove me back. But when we used the mongoose to get back, James got killed on it, getting me in the base, and the mongoose blew up, so there was no mongoose back. So I grabbed the flag again and ran it back about halfway with 3 of them, so I'm like bunny hopping the whole way back.
Bunny hop.
And James just comes running towards it, I'll cover you, and just comes sprinting past me. And I managed to get into this wee sort of like cavern where they couldn't see me. But James just goes sprinting right past me and just single-handedly holds them off. It's a suicide run while I get the flag in, and he buys me the necessary precious seconds to get the last flag back.
They did win that. None of them even.
No, I got the award for getting all 3 of the flags.
Well done.
Yeah. James got the award for
sacrificing himself.
Mental.
Greater good.
Yeah. There should be that, like, not a purple heart, but like a bronze liver for throwing yourself into harm's way for the success of the mission. Like, you do feel that way when you get a good team together, when you're defending your own flag, somebody grabs it and you kill them, and you've got to stand next to it to get it to beam back.
10 seconds or something.
You're holding it, speeds
defending
up for every person doing it, so it becomes like 2.
Oh yeah, it's not seconds, it's just a
bar that comes round.
Right.
But you're standing there like, you can stick me, you can run at me and throw a grenade, but it's going to take you time to kill me, and then you're not going to be able to grab the flag. Or when we had this one amazing game where some guy grabbed the flag and there was no vehicles, there was no beaming thing. I think it was the snow one. So he had to run it the whole way back. And the 7 other players just formed this wall in front of him, or behind him, sorry, while he ran the flag back, so that their team couldn't get through us to get to him, to kill him. Because it's all swords. If you've got the flag, you've got a pistol, but other than that, it's swords. And they would throw grenades, and we'd just jump in the way of the grenades. So they would stick us rather than him, and it was just this amazing rear guard action, which I was the last man in for a couple of seconds, and it was kind of terrifying, just this, I will die. I would die for the blue team, I would die. And sort of felt like a Donald Trump voter, I would die for this flag. And then then the rest of my team appeared, and it was like, oh, hallelujah! It's like the cavalry had arrived.
Throwing their swords.
One guy just went over the top of us on a warthog, because there's a divot in the middle of that map. So the warthog just jumped us and ploughed into 2 or 3 of the bad guys. Oh, my favourite moment was when I was blocking the flag, different map, I was blocking the flag, and they had used vehicles to try and catch them, but they both tried to get a warthog and a mongoose through this gap at once. It was big enough for one, so they got jammed in it, and I was in a warthog as well, so I ploughed my warthog into the jam. Their car started to do a wee bit of a flip, so they couldn't jump over it. I got out my car and stickied the car. It detonated, blowing up all the vehicles, killing 2 of the 3 people trying to get past. One guy was left standing there. My teammates come running up behind me, and he's got the with the sword, you can hold yourself in midair and aim it. and he's aiming at me, looking at like 9 different people, realising they're just going to run past us and get the flag again. So he aims off the bridge and fires himself into the sea so that he can spawn back at the base. It's incredible. It's when you're playing well and it's not being sort of weird with its 50, because there is a weapon inconsistency with that game. With some of the fights, sometimes it does crop up, like the weapon of inconvenience, which will annihilate everybody in a 50-mile radius and then just tickle somebody for no reason.
Or the grenade launcher.
Yeah, which will kill everybody on the map if you fire it anywhere, and then the other time you can basically hit them in the face with it and they're like, sorry, did someone sneeze?
Sometimes you can kill them without it going off. Like, it'll just bounce and hit them and then they'll die.
And then it'll go off, like, just spreading their weapons everywhere. But it's, other than that, it's really fun. The news. Just spend small time on news.
What have you found this week for us to discuss?
News point 1. That's me shuffling my papers.
Thank you for that thumping in my ears.
Yeah. News today, as in last week. Bioware, obviously everybody knows that Anthem, its new big release, has no romance options and very limited dialogue options. It looks like Destiny, but there's a really worrying parallel that at the moment, a lot of people who have been with Bioware since the very beginning, since KOTOR, since Dragon's Age, all that, they're gone. It's basically not the same company that it was 10 or 15 years ago when they were making all these great games. So a lot of senior developers, particularly writers, have left. The problem with that is that just before Mass Effect Andromeda came out, several senior developers left as well. There's a spate of resignations and leavings just before Mass Andromeda.
EA own Bioware now.
Yeah, they do. Also known as the Disaster. And now they've got the same thing with Anthem. And that worries me, because the future of Mass Effect, which has recently been suggested as reopened, and the future of Dragon Age lies with really how well Anthem does. And if Anthem's terrible, that could shut them two down for quite a while.
Yeah, they could, but they're both single player games and Anthem's a online game. So,
but my worry as well would be the fact they might turn those into being an online mess.
They better not.
But I'm very much pro single player, but I really think that it worries me that there's that link, that trend that a lot of people going just before its release happened with Andromeda, like halfway through the development, a year to go for its release, 2 years, they're away. And that worries me, because there's a link there with what happened before with Andromeda. There's a pattern, there's a pathology to the terribleness of some of BioWare's recent games. And I wanted to talk about that just for a few seconds there, just to voice that connection that I've seen. That worries me a bit. If nobody has anything to add, I can skip to the next piece. This is like the news.
I think the game will do well because of the whole online.
But there's a question as to whether or not it deserves to. Because the next story point is about that, actually.
I think the game will do well, but these are people who still want a Mass Effect game and a Dragon Age game.
Well, they want to make one, for sure. So they want this to be good. But a particular problem that they had with 3 was that some of the lead developers, some of the people who were influential in that game as developers, then took over Andromeda. One guy springs to mind, his name Chris Marek springs to mind as a name. No idea if that's correct. But he was involved, quite influential in 3, and was very influential in Andromeda, and it's just, he ended up in a lot of trouble.
Was this the racism?
Yeah, he ended up saying a lot of things like, if you're a follower on Twitter or a friend on social media and you're white, I'm sorry, I'm having to kick out some of my followers to make room for new ones. I'm kicking out some of my friends, and if I've kicked you out and you're white, blame the superiority of your race. The whole idea that there's so like many influential people that were white, he had to get rid of other white people to include.
There was a lot of stuff like that.
Sort of stuff like that, how it's not possible to be racially abused if you're white. White people, it's your own fault when bad things happen to you because of your racism, all that jazz.
Right.
And he...
Because of our life of privilege.
Exactly. Privilege was a word that was bandied around a lot by this particular gentleman. And that caused a lot of problems. And that's one of the problems that I think happened when a lot of people who were more senior left. he somehow wound up in charge of Andromeda, or at least with a lot of power over it. And they ended up, one of the things that really annoyed Brian, who played it, was you couldn't be nasty. He loved being a renegade in the game, because let's face it, it's a game. You're not actually abusing people. They're fake people. And he loved being a renegade in the game, like kicking people out of windows and shooting people in the knees and all the rest of it. And they took all that out. So when you had a conversation with two options, it was, oh, that's very good, or, oh, that's not bad. That's the same thing. That's not a good and bad option, a light and dark, a Paragon, Renegade.
And
Paragon. They took that system out because you had to be good. Any dialogue that could be considered abusive or unfair was removed. So you had this really bland dialogue. Oh, hello, you have legs. I mean...
Oh, I do, thank you.
I am glad that you are looking at me this time and not the other computer screen, and while my face isn't here and it's holding up.
The facial animations were awful.
I would point this gun at you, but it's too threatening, so I will turn it round and point it at myself. Really, really, really bad decisions. And just... Ugh, what are you doing?
I think I've got one more chance with the new Mass Effect, and if they screw it up, I think...
It has to be a single player game.
Oh,
it needs
to be. Not an MM.
They
could, see with Mass Effect, if they'd done it properly, they could make an amazing MMO kind of... They could do it.
It would have to be like Elder Scrolls have done. It has to be in tandem with the actual game. That's what scares me about Fallout. If they try and release this online game with no single player specific game, it might just warp it so much people aren't interested. But if you have them in tandem, it's like a different way of viewing the world. Like Warhammer has games coming out left, right and centre. They just released a 4X game. It's like blah 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 blah.
They're just licensing it to everyone pretty much.
And that's a great way of exploring the different ways. It's not exploring. Sorry, a good way of evaluating, of partaking in the different ways of exploring that universe. If you shift entirely from a single player to a multiplayer game, you don't explore it in a different way. You just choose one over the other. It's not, if you add them together, as in have two games running at the same time, like Elder Scrolls have done, that kind of works a bit better. Because you just end up annoying too many people and you lose a big section of your fan base. It's sort of like the same way that they've cut out the single player for Black Ops 4. They made that, they made the single player, and then just
still be 45 quid when it comes.
It'll be 60. But you're just cutting up the fan base. I don't see the point in it. But
Dragon Age as well. I love Dragon Age. Inquisition was really good.
They
really
need to
good game.
Keep making those, and they need to make them single player. I mean, there's only so often you can do this before, especially with social media, the fan base is able to unite against you.
It is slowly happening.
Aye.
Places.
Finally. I mean, people have finally saw that Activision is as bad, if not worse, than EA, and that's a big turn. A big turn.
Because EA are at least making games that people want. They're just not doing them properly, whereas Activision are just
bad. But anyway, so that concerns me slightly with that spate of leaving, but hopefully it's just a case of people, maybe those people wanted the MMO aspect and aren't getting it as much as they want for future games. So
you don't know sometimes what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a big story written down, but I'll just read out the quotes, right? No Man's Sky has come up with a new patch or update called Next. And it's to update No Man's Sky, which when it came out was essentially, while it was a great financial success, was really a disaster because it wasn't providing almost anything they'd promised originally. Procedurally generated worlds became boring because they're just random nonsense, really, deep down. You know, if you haven't built any of them specifically, you're not really exploring anything sometimes. You can end up with a lot of duff planets and very few of them actually catch you, because there's a reason why when you go.
What's No Man's Sky?
It's a space exploration game.
Okay.
And the whole idea of it is you can explore the entire universe.
Right.
All the planets in the universe are all procedurally generated. You find a planet, you get to name it, you find a new species,
wildlife,
you get to name it,
stuff like that.
all that sort of stuff. It's all exploration. But you've also got to do some sort of maintenance and survivability by getting fuel.
Yeah.
But it was promised to have things like multiplayer and stuff like that in it when it came out, and it didn't. So that wound people up the wrong way. And by wound them up the wrong way, as I'm not entirely sure, did they not get sued?
I think they tried to.
Yeah, because it just wasn't providing what was promised. I think that this was the game that BBC News, when they did a piece on gaming in Britain, they went to this company and said, this, because they only have like 12 developers.
Because it was a small studio when they made it.
Hello Games. It's like, I think it's still a small studio. It's like, it's in Guildford, and it's in England. Is it? This is British gaming industry. It's a random high street building that they were using to make their games. Like, no, it isn't. That's the English gaming industry.
Mm-hmm.
The Scottish one has Grand Theft Auto made in Edinburgh. Then he paint it to be this backwater couple of people that can't make a game properly. It's way bigger than that. But that's why I remember them. That's why I remember most about No Man's Sky, because it's painted incorrectly by everybody that talks about it. But they recently had an update, and they had an interview. So I'll read out the quotes and we're going to have a wee conversation about them. Talking to The Guardian, Sean Murray, the guy who started it, he was previously involved in Burnout apparently. He said, the internet is really good at knowing when somebody has made a mistake. It's not necessarily the best at determining the most appropriate response, but it's really good at knowing when somebody has messed something up. We definitely messed up a whole bunch of communication. I've never liked talking to the press. I didn't enjoy it when I had to do it, and when I did it, I was naive and overly excited about my game. There are a lot of things around launch that I regret or I would do differently. Now, I would stop to talk about that, but I'll quickly mention a couple of other things. We should go through all the quotes first so you can see the whole picture first.
Righto.
In response to some of the game being released originally, he did receive death threats, and one in particular related to the fact that the original gameplay expos had butterflies, and that there was no butterflies in the game when it was released. And he does make a good point that what's wrong with you if you're writing death threats about butterflies? But obviously we denounce and reject death threats. But he goes on in that interview to say, No Man's Sky was what we wanted it to be when it launched. We always talked about the feeling of landing on a planet that no one has been on before. It was lonely. It had nice calm ambient moments in it, but we always wanted to expand it. If you played the original game for 20 hours, you probably got the experience that we wanted, but you probably would never have picked up No Man's Sky again. In the lead up to launch, oh my god, I would have chopped off my own arm to have more time. We were under enormous pressure from the community and external forces. We were out of money. We were working so hard, way too hard. We've got a much better balance in our lives now. But if we hadn't released No Man's Sky when we had, and I was sat down talking to you now after we delayed it for 2 years, we would not have a game as good as it is right now. Now and then you'll see a comment thread where somebody will say it's my favourite game of all time. That's fantastic. I never expected to work on something that would have people saying that about it. Now, my summation of that seems to be, what? He said that this is a game we wanted to release. So why did you say it was going to have stuff in it that you didn't want to put in it? Then he says we had no money and we had no time and we were rushing. To do what? You released the game you wanted to release. Then he says the game will be better because we've had more time. And obviously more money, because you sold it for millions and it wasn't finished yet. But now you're saying the game's better, but you've changed it from what it was you wanted to make.
See, I think that there's a point also here that this was an exclusive to the PlayStation when this first came out. So I think in a sense Sony's got a lot to do with hyping this game up. I think they've got a lot to do with pushing this game. So he said they didn't have a lot of money left. So you don't know if Sony if they've been like, we're going to give you some money, but we are going to go ape with this game. We're going to tell them this. We're going to tell them that.
That's the point.
We're going to promote it. But it's now on Xbox now. By the way, with the new expansion is now on Xbox. But you don't know if they've had kind of a power struggle there, and Sony have been like, well, if we're giving you the money to finish this game, we're going to push it so we can get as much money back as what we can, plus more. But
for me, it's the press release there he's completely contradicting himself. He says we released the game we wanted, but now it's better than it was. We ran out of money, but you released the game you wanted. Why did you need more time and more money? And then why did you obviously say stuff you were going to put in it that you didn't want to put in it? And fair enough, the multiplayer, but all the other stuff you promised was not in the way of this lonely experience you wanted to create. And then he also says through it two things: you would never have picked it up again, and it's now better than it was. Yeah, it's better than it was because you took the money 2 years ago and have used it to make the game better. That's it feels wrong.
If they released it on early access, then that would have made more sense.
Yes, because you could have said we're only a part of the way
We've not finished
there.
it yet.
But they didn't. They released it with a full release. This game is
But
out.
I still
it's
don't
done.
know if that's a lot to do with Sony pushing it like that. You don't know.
Yeah, but I think with early access they could have.
Like PUBG's still in early access as well. And that's
No,
been
PUBG on the PC is done,
Yeah.
but PUBG on the Xbox and consoles and stuff, that is early access. But it was early access like a year and a half. They could have easily made this early access for 2 years and got enough money to keep themselves going, and then full released it now. But even now it's still buggy with problems, but I just don't buy what he's saying. It sounds like a lot of excuses that he hasn't formulated properly in his head. Because they completely contradict each other. I don't like it. That's disrespecting the fan base, you know?
Yeah.
It started a big conversation about the expectations of people when they're looking at the gameplay reveals and expos, and the legality of having an expo that was so different from the actual game's full release.
false advertising, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. I don't like it. I don't think it treated its fan base with respect. So that's why I don't like it. I like the idea of floating around the universe looking at stuff.
I like on paper it with the expansion now you can build bases and stuff as well on your planet, which I might be tempted later on.
But I might punish it and wait for it to be on sale or something. Just like, no,
It's
you're
just
not
like
getting
32, 33 quid. That's
yeah,
it.
you're not getting much of my money. I'm waiting for that to be in the tens because you don't deserve it after what you've done. But apparently there's no limit to the building. You can build, I think you can build like a space elevator sort of thing, where if you get on the equator, you can build all the way up into space. You'd have to do it on the equator. It's the only place you can do it. All the way up into space, and then build a huge space station. So you can climb a ladder all the way up into space. I don't particularly like what he and his company did, because they overhyped it, and that led to massive sales, and they benefited from that.
So did Sony though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyway.
But I also don't know if Sony knew that it was as bad, because this guy's
Probably.
even now he's lying in there somewhere, because something that doesn't make sense in what he said for this quote. So for me, Sony might not have known.
There's obviously a timed exclusive anyway,
Aye.
which wasn't said at the time.
Yeah. Halo Master Chief Collection has an enormous patch upcoming, because as James knows far better than me, although I do know to a little degree, the Halo Master Chief Collection on the Xbox One was a disaster, because
Online was anyway.
Yeah, the online play didn't work.
Didn't work at all.
The single player stuff had major bugs in it, but you could sort of make it work. The online play, from what I've heard, was a disaster. Slowdown, lag, disconnections, inability
And
to get a
that's
game.
if you could get a game.
Aye.
If you could get a game, which was very rare.
I mean, we played it last year, and we couldn't. We got in okay, and then got kicked. And that was when I haven't done the first mission apparently, because it kicked me during one of the cutscenes at the end. And then we played the next few missions and no problems. Everything worked absolutely fine. But this is a huge patch, and it updates the main menu because of the bad colours and the terrible drop down menu, which was just awful. I mean, you didn't want to be in the menu.
No.
It didn't have, like, Halo has that little press start, and it's got you floating around like a Halo ring or something. No, it's not in it. Just straight into the drop down nonsense. There's a menu music slider, so you can turn down the menu music in case you've got headsets, which helps me because I play with a headset. The new menu loads faster, has a brightness slider for the games, revamped install options. That's the big one that I saw, so that you can selectively install the gate campaign, the multiplayer, or even some of the foreign language options. The original hub install is very small, and then you just pick what you want. So you could play through the first game, and you've got a couple of missions left to go, start it installing Halo 2 while you're finishing off Halo 1. Doesn't seem to be an ODST multiplayer, but if memory serves, that's because it was wrapped up with Halo 3.
Oh, it was.
Aye.
I didn't have. The only thing I had was Firefight, which
will
was
be
new.
probably included in the campaign install then. A big problem with the original game release was that the frame rate wasn't very good. But apparently they've polished that off, so the frame rate should run at 60, especially for Xbox One X. And Halo 2, which was very cut up.
The cutscenes though.
They were fantastic from what I've heard. But originally the gameplay ran at 900p, and they've upgraded that to 1440p. So it should look really, really sharp. I think all the games
on the X.
I think all the games now run at 1440p, or will do when this comes out. So it looks like it's worth revisiting if you still got it. It doesn't run everything, fix everything. Sorry, the patch, because it's the first in a series of patches.
Yeah.
But the one that they actually are quite open about it. The revealer that I watched, who showed this video, showed a playthrough about a warthog running through water in the 360 game, which I think from looks it was 3. And the tires go through the water, leaves a trail, splashes, all the rest of it. On the Xbox One Remaster collection, it just goes through the water like it's just air. There's absolutely no response from the water, no trail, no splashes, nothing. So they're still got
Magic
things
car.
to fix. Exactly, or water made entirely of gas. But the original problem was that the Master Chief Collection was ridiculously unstable as a piece of software. Lots of bugs, really long load times, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
So they've had to spend a long time really fixing the core stability of it, which is just absolutely falling apart. So that's what most of the patchwork seems to have gone into. And they've got dedicated online servers now for the online play, which means they run much faster. And the way they've been able to do this to make it much better as a patch is that they have the MCC Insider program, so people actually help them by playing the game over and over again. So I think you join that online, and you also download something on your Xbox so you can join in, so you can join them if you want to help. But because they've got this community of influencers and testers, they're able to work on the online play and the single player a lot and get a lot of the bugs fixed because they're playing through it so often. But it looks like they're putting some serious work into getting this fixed. Because it was an embarrassment when it came out. I was so disappointed when I heard that it didn't work properly, because I was looking forward to it, and then it just was a disaster. Just so bad. Because you wanted it not just so you could play through it with the revamped graphics, but you wanted it so you could play back through the games with your chums, your mates, your pals. Fire Team Alba. Samuel Hills, are you listening? No.
Hills is still lost in his house.
He's still trying to find his Xbox in the door. It was just nonsense. Maybe that's why his dog just suddenly appeared, because he'd totally forgotten where it was and it found him. But it was nonsense and embarrassing when it first came out. But if they have fixed it as much as they say they have, then I'm looking forward to trying that again. Especially if we can get some crew together to play through some of the missions, because some of them will have 4-player co-op.
Yeah, they do. I think the first two do.
The first two?
As in the first two Halo games.
Are you sure?
Pretty
Are they
sure.
not just limited to 2-player?
Pretty sure they're not.
Two small pieces of news, one which took me totally by surprise yesterday, which I'm really excited for, one which is just a meh. EA have revealed an interest in making a free-to-play Battle Royale game, which they'll most likely microtransaction the hell out of. I really hope it isn't a Star Wars, Mass Effect, Dragon's Age Battle Royale. I just hope they just don't. I hope they make a Battle Royale game, because then they'll fail, because I think Fortnite and PUBG have it wrapped up completely.
Fortnite do.
Yeah.
Fortnite have.
I think PUBG will keep its community together though, and it'll run fine with that. I don't see anybody else joining in, and I think they'll just like what happened with, was it the Culling 2? Nobody was playing it. They had to stop the game, shut it down, because it just wasn't. They had like 6 players worldwide. Nobody could get a game together because they didn't have enough players. So I reckon this will just pull the bottom out of that market.
But they're already making. Bioware are already making Anthem, so they're going to be competing with themselves technically.
Yeah, that's a point. Yeah, if they make another online game, unless they put a Battle Royale in Anthem. Battlefield 5 already has Battle Royale in it, which is fine. But apparently EA are interested in making Battle Royale standalone free to play. Well, fine. Nobody will buy it. Nobody will pay any microtransactions. That's it. You've lost a lot of money in developing a game nobody plays. Good.
Unless they do it Command and Conquer.
battle royale phone game. Try to snipe someone on a tiny wee touch
Can't
screen.
believe they've done that with Command and Conquer. Put it on mobile.
That was an insult. I didn't play very much a Command and Conquer game, and I was insulted by that. Last piece of news, which I'm super excited for in a really sort of fanboyish way, is something called Knights of the Old Republic Aperon. Started in 2016, it's just released some images of some character models. It is a full conversion mod made by fans, which converts the 2003 release Knights of the Old Republic into a more modern game which runs on Unreal Engine 4. But it doesn't just revamp the graphics, it has new missions, new items, new characters, new weapons, new gameplay mechanics are suggested, and it has new planets in it.
EA will shut it down.
I don't think they'll be able to because it's a mod. It'll be free when it comes out.
So this is
It's
just
fan-made mod, and I
Wow.
don't think they'll be able to shut that down because you have to buy a copy of the original game,
They
probably
still
for
use it,
PC.
yeah.
Might be for Xbox. They might be able to work it, but you can install the mod, and it changes the game. It converts the game to this updated version, and I've seen some of it, and it looks really exciting. Like the idea of new planets to explore. They'll have to keep the same core story, but will they fold those new planets in, or just make them fun exploration editions? Who knows? They know, but we'll find out eventually when it comes out. But I'm going to be keeping my eye on that because that caught me by surprise, even though it started in 2016 because I'd never heard of it.
right.
And probably because in 2016 I was still fingers crossed for KOTOR 3. But I heard about it the other day and thought, I'm looking this up, and found some really interesting stuff about it. And it's fan made, should be free, in which case, hopefully will be, in which case I don't see any legal issues at all. Just need to buy yourself a copy of the original game. Probably costs, well, it's a tenner I think
Yeah.
on Xbox.
Well, then that means that maybe EA won't shut it down if people are going out and
Giving them money for
Yeah.
buying it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. Maybe EA could pull their finger out and work with them on it.
And or make an actual Knights of the Old Republic game that
Yeah, that'd be
people want to
better.
play.
Yeah, one which doesn't have an instance of Tatooine in which I'm the only person in it on the planet. 3 instances of Tatooine, and I think the gameplay was 1, 3, and 7. I was the only person in the instance. It's ridiculous. It had such potential, the Old Republic, and they just made so many bad decisions, and it turned all the player base off long before they made it free to play. So, just a disaster. I was there. I was playing the game between days when their fan base died, and it was just a case of, oh, there's 400 people on Tatooine. Oh my god, I'm the only person on Tatooine. I mean, being the only person makes it unplayable because the spawn was kept at a rate for hundreds of people. So you were killing everything 95 times. It just became... And then the bug at the end. Oh, the bug at the end. Oh, the guy, the Emperor you fight at the end has an unblockable attack that he can use twice every 30 seconds. I had 2 moves which stop attacks, so that he was limited to using it twice every 30 seconds. I had these 2 moves with a 30-second cooldown, so I could stop him using his one-hit kill move. Because he only has to kill your character, not the companion. It was a nightmare because it bugged so that one of my moves wasn't working. So he just kept flying across the map, and it bugged at the same point every time. I got his health down to a third to go, and then the bug hit, and I couldn't. One of my moves stopped stunning him, so he was able to use a kill move. I couldn't get back out either. The door sealed behind me, so I couldn't get out and go and level up. I couldn't get out and go and report it, and hopefully they would fix it because I was stuck in the fight. And I couldn't change my companion to a different companion to try something different, like a taunter or something. They might be able to draw the kill. I was stuck. Hundreds of hours into the game and couldn't finish it.
Jeez.
Just ridiculous. And that character will have been deleted by their servers now, so I'd have to redo the whole thing. I've not played it since 2013, 2014. So that just really wound me up. Just make a KOTOR 3. EA, put some effort in, make a KOTOR 3, you'll make millions or billions. So those were the wee pieces of news that I had. There is one surprise though, right?
What is
for
it?
Abigail.
What is it?
Remember how I told you I was going to maybe create a small sort of dice roll, action adventure, Dungeons and Dragons-esque game that we could
Yes.
play? So we at the end of each recording we'd have a
Yes.
separate one that would last 20 minutes. We should go on a wee mini adventure. And we'd use the laptop.
Adventure.
And we'd have your laptop, we'd use a random number generator instead of a dice. There's 2 options, right, for the setting obviously. Futuristic, which can still be quite gothic, or, so futuristic sci-fi, or mythical fantasy. So sort of the difference, I suppose, between The Witcher and Cyberpunk. Or Warhammer and Warhammer 40k. So you have to pick between...
Fantasy.
Right. Now, we might stick with that decision, but we're also going to play a different game. You're going to leave, right? You love fantasy, I love science fiction. I like fantasy as well, and you like science fiction as well, but you're more fantasy, I'm more science fiction. If you were to choose between us. We'll pick a number each, on tape so everybody knows. And then you'll randomly guess numbers between 1 and 20, and the first one you get of ours might be the one you end up with. Or we might decide just to go with fantasy because of how ridiculously quick that answer was from Abigail when I brought this up. But you
if you know me at all, you know I don't like futuristic stuff.
Well,
I like mythical, magical fantasy.
If it's futuristic, I'll make it more...
steampunky.
Maybe a bit more gothic, maybe some Warhammer 40k stuff, maybe some Jedi type stuff to make it feel quite fantasy-esque. There will be extra races and stuff no matter what. So you need to go into another room while we decide on our numbers.
Oh.
Go on, go.
Okay. Who wants the headphones?
Nobody. You can put them back on when you get back.
Oh, my ears.
Out!
Just give us a sec.
You have been evicted from the studio. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Okay, what number do you want?
12.
Alright, I'll take 7. Okay. Let's just continue to have a random conversation while she waits outside. Abigail! Abigail smells. She smells like blueberries.
Want to stretch?
Aye, I could use a stretch actually. So we might just keep this in actually, just us for a few minutes, just wandering around. I'm just gonna get a drink. This is OverShadow ShadowCast behind the scenes. You thought they were wholesome young video game journalists. Yeah, that was until all the cocaine. Abigail, verdict. So it will have dice rolls and all sorts of other stuff, but we'll have to make a... So for that, what we'll do is we'll use this random number generator. So we can use a D20 and we can cut it. We can move the max slider.
Okay, so what am I doing again?
You are randomly picking a number with your brain between 1 and 20.
Right.
And if you get a certain number, we've picked a number. It's on tape, so you'll hear to make sure we haven't changed it. And you then, pardon me,
Going through puberty again.
you regress into puberty if the number is, if you say minus 8x, you regress back to maths class. And you have to relearn algebra.
That's a funny ringtone now whenever you message me.
Okay. Somebody's phoning you.
One thing I miss from secondary school is just walking the corridors and just hear all the boys' voices just break every now and again.
Well, my voice does that all the time. And I was led to believe it would stop at 25. No. I'm way past 25 and I'm still occasionally, I've got to go through the process of building like a combat generator and a character creator and how we're going to use dice rolls to make a character and stuff, but it should be quite fun at the end of every recording to have a wee adventure. What I was thinking was that you could have like a party, and maybe if you develop your characters, we can develop characters sort of like the Ebonhawk or Mass Effect or all the rest of it. That was what we were going to say about No Man's Sky. It'd be great if you could have a crew of your friends flying one ship, everybody having a different role on the ship, like Ebonhawk or Star Trek or something like that. That's what we might do, and then you can just give a character to whoever's the guest, and they could join in, because we'll create character sheets.
Okay, you do. I have, just to let everyone know, I have no experience of any dice roll
I have
games.
no experience of making
I used to
one.
play Warhammer.
Yeah, so maybe you... But is
So it's
that
the blind
character
leading the blind.
creator stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, or is it
No, not
board
as character
game?
creator.
Yeah, Jesus, it's going to be mental. But any experience you do have, fire my
Although I
way.
would love to play Dungeons and Dragons.
We've got it. We'll be doing it on the site at one point when we get cameras, because you can't play that on just audio, just tick 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 tick. Oh, 6. But I would love to learn Warhammer. I really want to get into that. because there's so many great Warhammer games, especially 40k. That seems like my thing.
Yeah.
As in miniatures.
Just a whole thing. I just want to learn about it. Even if I was just reading the books, that's fine. I just want to learn about it.
I'd be wanting to get into the miniature game.
I just remember when
do
Warhammer
that on
was
the
so
site, yeah.
big at school. Like, it was massive.
I really like 40k.
Me and
because-
Hells went to the Warhammer at school in the library.
Aye.
We probably met up at some point then, because I was a librarian helper.
Possibly.
Was there a small gnome-like creature carrying miniatures around the room?
Hells.
He's smaller than a gnome, right? He is like. Have you ever read Terry Pratchett, the Discworld
never
stuff?
read these.
There's the Knack Mac McFeagles, which are supposed to be like this tall. There's the Scottish characters. They're tiny, but they can punch out everybody in the face and knock them out. He's like one of them without the strength or the coolness. So yeah, we'll learn to use the random number generator instead of dice, or we'll buy some dice for you, or whatever, and I'll make up characters and I'll make a story, and then we can run through it.
Okay.
But for now, all you're doing is picking a random number between 1 and 20 to pick the setting. We'll create your character, and once I've managed to figure out how we're going to create a character, and there goes my voice again.
I
So,
wasn't going to say anything.
I'm going to get a drink. Maybe it'll help my puberty. Or maybe somebody's put something in my drink, so I'm going through it again.
Well, James is closest to your glass.
Yeah.
So.
And to be honest with you, if I physically go through puberty again, I'm going to have trouble walking and shaving. But anyway. And my voice will be like this.
Like Graham, what he tries to make you sound like.
Do you remember in English class where I was John Proctor in The Crucible and he was Elizabeth and he didn't put on a female voice at all? He just went, "John, I am 5 months gone."
There's no guess for who I was picked to choose to play in The Crucible.
Abigail Forster, is it?
Abigail Williams, isn't it?
Williams.
I can't remember, that was a long time ago.
But it's just because I was like, oh, there's an Abigail in the class, right? You're going to be playing.
Okay, so
I think I had an extra part
yeah,
for a
you
while, but I can't remember.
were
who.
you were the guy who gets crushed. Okay, so any number between 1 and 20.
16.
No. I'm just going to test the generator, so every time.
What do you mean, no? That's
It's not a number that we picked. You have to.
Oh, right.
it's
I
the-
thought
you pick a
that's
number
not the
between
number.
1 and 20, and the first one that you get is one of ours. Is the
Right,
second.
okay, no, I was just saying. Okay, 12.
Mhm.
Wow, you got it in the second guess.
That was mine. That was fantasy.
Right, so your fantasy. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, the number generator just came up with my number of 7. You've got your fantasy setting that you wanted.
Yes.
I might create another one if this goes well, and we can do some sort of like gothic. Maybe I could give you the setting and you can create the stories for some sci-fi. We could spin it once I've laid down the ground rules. But we'll do a lot of this first, and it might be interesting. Maybe we'll end up being bought by Hasbro. So, oh, not again! Here we go again. So all that leaves for me to say today is thank you to Abigail Mott, Tech Wizard, and to James the Grey.
You're welcome.
Now, it is a fantasy adventure you have selected, so if James is here,
I am James the Grey.
he will be James the Grey.
Yeah.
He will be giving you wise, sagacious advice. And to say thank you to our listeners, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe below.
To a
And-
listener.
Thanks, Mum. Thanks. And like and subscribe below, and check out our video library, which has become extensive with a wide range of 7 videos.
Take it there were no questions.
There were no questions.
There were no questions.
There are never any questions.
I've got a question. Why are there no questions?
Because I couldn't think of one. There you go. I
think
was
it's-
not an inquisitive mind this week.
I think it's a mixture of we're so self-explanatory, we lay everything out in such detail and so clearly for people to understand, and then I go like this and people don't understand anyway, enough to ask a question. You can also follow us on Facebook at overshadow.shadowcast, and you can contact us via email at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com, and of course you can leave a comment underneath the video.
Yes, we'd much appreciate it. Any comment is welcome.
Yes, all comment, any comment. Please, Mum, leave a comment. And to round off, thank you for listening.
Thank
and
you.
we will see you next time. Cheerio.
Bye bye.